Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because the Boston Red Sox might have just unearthed the most terrifying prospect in baseball, and most of you probably haven't even heard his name yet. We're talking about a human being so physically imposing, so ridiculously built, that when he stands next to his teammates, it doesn't look real. It looks like someone photoshopped a Create-A-Player from MLB The Show into actual spring training footage. This is Justin Gonzalez, and if you haven't been paying attention to what's happening down in the Red Sox minor league system, you're about to have your mind absolutely blown. Picture this. A 19-year-old kid, still a teenager, standing 6 feet 7 inches tall and weighing in at a staggering 277 pounds of pure muscle. We're not talking about some bulky, lumbering giant who can barely move. No, this is a legitimate athlete with the frame of an NFL tight end and the hand-eye coordination of an elite baseball player. Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager himself, looked at Justin Gonzalez and said, "If this kid hadn't been born in the Dominican Republic where baseball is essentially a religion, he'd be catching touchdown passes in the NFL right now." That's not hyperbole. That's not some social media hot take designed to get clicks. That's the actual manager of a Major League Baseball team looking at one of his organization's prospects and seeing a different sport entirely because the physical specimen is just that absurd. But here's where it gets really interesting, where the story transforms from "Wow, that's a big dude," to "Holy hell, the rest of baseball better be terrified." Justin Gonzalez isn't just big. He's not just some novelty act that the Red Sox are hoping can occasionally make contact and hit the ball far when he gets lucky. This young man can actually play baseball at an elite level, and the numbers he's putting up are making scouts, analysts, and die-hard fans completely lose their minds on social media. We're talking about a prospect who just ripped a single to left field at 117 miles per hour off the bat. Let me repeat that because it sounds fake. 117 miles per hour. That's not a home run where he got all of it and launched it into orbit. That was a single, a base hit. Routine contact for Justin Gonzalez apparently means breaking the laws of physics. To understand just how bonkers this is, we need to dive into the journey of how Justin Gonzalez has gone from a relatively unknown name in the Red Sox system to the hottest topic in baseball prospect circles over the last few weeks. Last year, when Gonzalez was playing in single A ball, he was already turning heads. The kid was listed at 6 feet 5 inches and 210 pounds, which even then made him one of the larger position players you'd see at that level. But what really caught everyone's attention wasn't just his size. It was what he was doing with a bat in his hands. Gonzalez slashed 281, 363, and 390 across different levels, posting a 10% walk rate and a 16% strikeout rate. For context, that strikeout rate was one of the lowest in all of single-A baseball. And remember, he was one of the youngest players on the field at just 18 years old. Think about that for a second. Here's a kid who's barely old enough to vote, who's playing against guys who are 22, 23, sometimes even older, and he's making contact at a rate that would make veteran players jealous. He's not just swinging for the fences and hoping to get lucky. He's got legitimate plate discipline, a feel for the strike zone, and an 83% contact rate when swinging at pitches in the zone. That's close to big league average, folks. We're talking about a teenager in single-A baseball making contact like someone who's been in the majors for years. And when he does make contact, well, that's when things get downright silly. Last season, Justin Gonzalez posted a hard hit rate which measures balls put in play at 95 miles per hour or faster of 45%. To put that in perspective, that's well above big league average. We're talking about numbers that put him in the same territory as guys like Willard Abreu, established major league hitters who are known for absolutely demolishing baseballs. Gonzalez topped out at 113 miles per hour off the bat last year. And now, as we've already mentioned, he's surpassed that with a 117-mile-per-hour laser beam that somehow stayed in the park. The kid isn't just strong. He's got bat speed, he's got timing, and he's got the kind of raw power that makes pitching coaches wake up in cold sweats. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should we say, the giant in the outfield. Between last season and this year, Justin Gonzalez has added 2 inches in height and 67 pounds of muscle. He went from 6'5", 210 to 6'7", 277. That's not normal development. That's not just a kid filling out his frame. That's someone who clearly took their off-season training seriously and transformed their body into something that honestly looks more suited for the defensive line than the outfield. When you see photos of Gonzalez standing next to other prospects, it genuinely looks fake. It looks like someone used AI to generate what a perfect baseball body would look like if you combined Aaron Judge's height with the build of a superhero. People on social media have been saying it looks like a comic book character, and honestly, they're not wrong. Alex Spear of the Boston Globe, who's been covering this story extensively, described the scene of Gonzalez standing next to guys like Chedan Rafaela and other position players as looking completely fabricated. The size difference is so dramatic that your brain almost can't process it. And yet, despite carrying 277 pounds on a 6'7" frame, Gonzalez moves. He's athletic. There have been reports about his ability to run the bases with surprising speed, which seems physically impossible when you look at him, but apparently this kid can motor. He plays corner outfield, and by all accounts, he's a good defender out there. He's not just a designated hitter waiting to happen. He's a legitimate two-way player who can impact the game on both sides of the ball. Now, you might be wondering where Justin Gonzalez ranks in the loaded Red Sox farm system. As of the most recent rankings from MLB Pipeline, he's sitting at number 6 in the organization. That puts him behind guys like Christian Campbell, Marcelo Mayer, Roman Anthony, Kyle Teel, Wickelman Gonzalez, and Franklin Arias. Some of those names you probably recognize if you follow prospect baseball. Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer are consensus top prospects in all of baseball, guys who could be all-stars in the big leagues. Kyle Teel is a catcher with ridiculous upside. These are legitimate, bona fide blue-chip prospects, and Justin Gonzalez is knocking on the door behind them. Here's the really crazy part. Prospects like Brayan Bello and Tristan Casas have already graduated from prospect status because they're established big leaguers now, and there's a very real chance that some of the guys ranked ahead of Gonzalez, guys like Campbell, Anthony, and Mayer, could be in the majors, either at the start of this season or shortly after. When that happens, when those guys lose their prospect eligibility, Justin Gonzalez is going to shoot up these rankings by default, but it won't just be by default. If he keeps performing the way he has been, if he keeps making the kind of contact that makes radar guns look broken, he's going to climb those rankings on pure merit. Last year, after Gonzalez dominated the Dominican Summer League as an 18-year-old, posting a .320, .391, .517 line with a strikeout rate in the 92nd percentile among qualifying hitters at that level, the Red Sox challenged him aggressively. They didn't baby him. They didn't let him sit in the rookie leagues and pad stats. After literally one game in the Florida Complex League, they promoted him to Single A. And when he proved he could handle that, they bumped him up to High A Greenville. For an 18-year-old making his transition to professional baseball in the United States, that's an incredibly aggressive assignment, and the fact that he not only survived, but thrived, tells you everything you need to know about his talent level. Once Gonzalez adjusted to the Carolina League in High A, he went on an absolute tear. Over a 50-game stretch, he hit .335, .394, and .497 with 24 extra base hits. Those aren't numbers you see from teenagers in High A ball. Those are numbers you see from guys who are about to get promoted to Double A and beyond. And that's exactly what people around the Red Sox organization are expecting this year. The general consensus among scouts and analysts who've been following Gonzalez's development is that he should start the season in High A Greenville, where he finished last year, and if he picks up where he left off, he could be in Double A Portland by mid-season. Some optimistic projections even have him reaching Triple A Worcester before the year is out, though that might be a bit ambitious for a 20-year-old who's still learning the nuances of professional baseball. What makes Justin Gonzalez so special isn't just one thing, it's the complete package. Yes, the size is absurd, yes, the power is video game level ridiculous, but it's the contact skills, the plate discipline, the ability to recognize pitches and make adjustments that really separate him from being just a raw tools guy. In his own words, Gonzalez addressed the fact that a lot of people assumed he would be a pitcher given his size and arm strength. He said he's always had a good arm, but the reality is that the amount of contact he makes and how hard he hits the ball, those traits aren't for pitchers. That's a mature, self-aware statement from a 19-year-old who clearly understands his strengths and where his future lies. The exit velocity numbers are what have been breaking the internet over the last few weeks. That 117-mile-per-hour single we keep coming back to happened just days ago on March 1st. The video made the rounds on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere, and the reaction was universal shock. People couldn't believe that a single, just a routine base hit, could be hit that hard. For reference, the hardest hit balls in the major leagues typically top out around 122, 123 miles per hour, and those are usually from guys like Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, the absolute elite power hitters in the game. Justin Gonzalez, a 19-year-old in spring training for the minor leagues, is already in that stratosphere. He's not far off from the hardest contact in professional baseball, and he's doing it consistently. There's footage from last year of Gonzalez hitting a leadoff home run on the first pitch he saw in a game. The ball came off his bat at 109 miles per hour, and it was absolutely destroyed, a no-doubt shot to left field that had the announcer immediately calling it before the ball even reached the fence. That swing, that kind of effortless power, is what has people dreaming on what this kid could become. If he's doing this at 18 and 19 years old, what's he going to look like at 23, 24, when he's fully developed, when he's got thousands of professional at-bats under his belt, when he's facing big league pitching every single day? The comparisons to Aaron Judge are inevitable and honestly pretty accurate. Judge is 6'7", 282, just 5 pounds heavier than Gonzalez, and he's obviously one of the best players in baseball, a former MVP who hits tape measure home runs and plays solid defense in the outfield despite his size. If Justin Gonzalez can develop even 70% of what Aaron Judge became, the Red Sox have an absolute superstar on their hands. And the scary part is that Gonzalez might actually have better contact skills at the same age than Judge did. Judge struck out a ton in the minors and early in his big league career before he refined his approach. Gonzalez is already showing advanced bat-to-ball skills that suggest he might not have that same struggle. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room regarding the Red Sox organization as a whole. This team has been rebuilding, retooling, whatever you want to call it, for the last few years. They've been stockpiling talent in the minor leagues, and that farm system is now widely regarded as one of the best in baseball. You've got guys like Roman Anthony, who could be an impact player in center field for the next decade. You've got Marcelo Mayer, who has franchise shortstop potential. You've got Christian Campbell, who might have the highest floor of any prospect in the system. And now you've got Justin Gonzalez, a physical freak who could end up being the most impactful bat of the entire group if his development continues on this trajectory. The Red Sox haven't been to the playoffs in a few years, and the fan base has been getting restless. There's been criticism of ownership, criticism of the front office for not spending big in free agency, criticism of the player development system for not producing homegrown stars at the rate fans expect. But if you're a Red Sox fan and you're looking at what's coming through the pipeline, you have to be excited. You have to be hopeful, because in 2, 3, maybe 4 years, this team could have a core of young, cost-controlled stars that rival any team in baseball, and Justin Gonzalez could very well be the centerpiece of that core. The timeline for Gonzalez reaching the big leagues is obviously still uncertain. He's only 19, he's only played a season and a half of professional baseball, and there's still a lot of development that needs to happen. He needs to prove he can handle Double-A pitching, which is a massive jump from High-A. He needs to show he can make adjustments when pitchers start exploiting weaknesses in his swing. He needs to stay healthy, which for a guy his size is always a concern. Big bodies can break down, especially when they're being asked to play a sport that involves as much running, twisting, and explosive movement as baseball. But if everything breaks right, if the development curve continues the way it has been, there's no reason Gonzalez couldn't be in the big leagues by late 2026 or early 2027. Imagine this scenario. It's September 2026, the Red Sox are in the thick of a playoff race, and they need a spark. They need someone who can come up and provide protection in the lineup, someone who can change the game with one swing. They call up Justin Gonzalez from Triple-A Worcester, where he's been raking all season, and he steps into Fenway Park for the first time as a major leaguer. 6'7", 277 pounds of pure intimidation in the batter's box. The green monster looming behind him in left field. Can you imagine the reaction from the crowd? Can you imagine what opposing pitchers would be thinking as this absolute giant digs into the box? That's the kind of moment Red Sox fans could be looking at in the not-too-distant future, and it's genuinely thrilling to think about. Social media has been going absolutely bonkers over Justin Gonzalez in the last few weeks, and it's easy to see why. In an era where everyone is looking for the next big thing, where prospect hype can sometimes outpace reality, Gonzalez feels different. He feels real. The tools are undeniable. The production backs up the hype. And the visual of watching him play baseball is so jarring, so different from what we're used to seeing, that it captures people's imagination. He's must-see TV, even in spring training minor league games. When he steps to the plate, you stop what you're doing and watch, because you never know when he's going to absolutely annihilate a baseball and send it into orbit. The Red Sox organization has to be thrilled with how Gonzalez has developed so far, but they also have to be careful. The worst thing they could do is rush him to the big leagues before he's ready just because of the hype, just because fans are clamoring to see him. We've seen too many uber prospects get rushed, struggle, and never quite reach their potential because they didn't get the proper seasoning in the minors. Gonzalez needs at-bats. He needs to see different types of pitching. He needs to face adversity and learn how to make adjustments. If the Red Sox are patient, if they let him develop at his own pace and only promote him when he's earned it, the payoff could be enormous. One of the most encouraging things about Justin Gonzalez's game is his makeup. By all accounts, this is a kid who loves baseball, who works his tail off, who takes his development seriously. He's not resting on his laurels just because he's bigger and stronger than everyone else. He's not coasting on raw talent. He's putting in the work to become a complete player, and that work ethic is going to serve him well as he climbs the ladder. The jump from high A to double A is significant. The pitchers are better, they have more weapons, they know how to exploit weaknesses. But if Gonzalez approaches it with the same focus and determination he's shown so far, there's no reason to think he can't handle it. Looking at the Red Sox farm system as a whole, the depth of talent is legitimately impressive. Beyond Gonzalez, you've got pitching prospects like Wikelman Gonzalez, who could be a future ace. You've got position players all over the diamond who project as above-average big leaguers at minimum. The organization has done a tremendous job of stockpiling talent through the draft, international signings, and smart trades, and now it's time for that talent to start paying dividends at the big league level. Some of these guys are going to bust. That's just the reality of prospect development. But when you have this many high upside players in the system, the odds are that several of them are going to hit. And when they do, the Red Sox are going to be a force to be reckoned with. For Justin Gonzalez specifically, the expectations are sky high, and that comes with pressure. He's going to be under a microscope every time he steps on the field. Every at-bat is going to be analyzed. Every strikeout is going to be scrutinized. That's the burden of being a top prospect, especially one with his unique physical tools. But if he can block out the noise, stay focused on his development, and continue to trust the process, there's no ceiling on what he could become. We could be looking at a future All-Star, a future MVP candidate, a guy who becomes the face of the Red Sox franchise for the next decade plus. That's not hyperbole. That's the genuine upside we're talking about here. The baseball world is starving for the next generational talent, the next guy who's going to dominate the sport and capture the imagination of fans everywhere. We've seen Shohei Ohtani rewrite what's possible on a baseball field. We've seen Aaron Judge become a folk hero in New York. We've seen young stars like Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt Jr., and Gunnar Henderson take the league by storm. Justin Gonzalez has the potential to be next in that lineage, to be the guy everyone is talking about, the guy who sells tickets and jerseys and makes baseball must-watch entertainment. He's got the tools, he's got the makeup. Now it's just about putting it all together and staying healthy along the way. So where does Justin Gonzalez end up by the end of the 2026 season? If you're asking for predictions, here's the realistic outlook. He starts in High A Greenville, dominates for a month or two, gets promoted to Double A Portland by early summer, and if he continues to rake, he could see Triple A Worcester by September. That would be an aggressive but achievable timeline for a player of his caliber. The absolute dream scenario, the one that would have Red Sox fans losing their minds, is if he forces his way into the big league conversation by year's end. Maybe he doesn't get called up in 2026, but he puts himself in position to compete for a roster spot in spring training 2027. That's the kind of trajectory we're potentially looking at, and it's incredibly exciting. The bottom line is this: Justin Gonzalez is a legitimate five-tool prospect with generational physical tools and the kind of production that backs up every ounce of hype he's getting. He's not a one-trick pony who just hits the ball hard. He's got feel for the game, he's got discipline at the plate, and he's got the work ethic to maximize his potential. The Red Sox have struck gold with this kid, and if he continues on this path, he's going to be one of the most talked about players in all of baseball within the next year or two. This is a name you need to know, a player you need to be watching, because Justin Gonzalez is coming, and the rest of the American League better be ready. So what do you think? Are we witnessing the early stages of a future superstar? Is Justin Gonzalez the real deal, or is this just spring training hype that will fade when the competition gets tougher? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is a conversation that's just getting started. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of baseball's most exciting prospects, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We're going to be following Justin Gonzalez's journey every step of the way, and you're going to want to be along for the ride. This is the kind of story that makes baseball great, the kind of player who reminds us why we fell in love with this game in the first place. Justin Gonzalez is a monster, and he's just getting started.